Hello and welcome. Today we've got Ian Clark, and today we are going to be discussing how the cabal is draining us from magnesium and how important magnesium is for our immune system and to even eliminate fear and the functionality of our mental state. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and Ian can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Ian, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Nicholas, and I'm really happy to be back. We've been up to a lot in the last month. So many things happen every single day. It's been a beautiful adventure. So yeah, things are going great.
Fantastic. Now, why don't you give us a breakdown of how important magnesium is for us and how it affects us, in this matrix world that the cabal has trapped us in? How are they trying to, cause us to have a deficiency in magnesium, and how does it affect us?
Well, it starts all together with our education process. We have so much information withheld from us as we grow up. I had no clue the importance of magnesium until I was almost 50 years old. If I would have known what it was back in the day, what a difference it would have made. But it was better late than never. So that was almost 15 years ago when I first heard about it. And I didn't understand it at all, even though I was being told how it was important. I didn't understand it until I put it into my system. As soon as it was in my system, I could see such a shift in so many areas, from the mental processes to emotional to my physical being. And I realized that it was the most important macro element, the trace element that comes from our food source, which we're so depleted in now, and that I could get it in my body through my skin. And you literally feel it go in, because the larger the area you put it on, the more you feel it. And I could just feel a calmness enter my body and more of a centered focus. And I thought, is this real or is this a placebo thing? And it wasn't. It just got better and better and better. And over the next 2.5, 3 months of doing that, this is before I even thought of making sure the world find out about this, I just saw a huge shift in my personality, in my day-to-day life. And I was very, very surprised and very excited at the same time. The problem is there's so many different kinds of magnesium. I started doing the studies in the medical realm. So there was the medical studies that were profound that showed how the magnesium deficiency is hitting in a significant way at least 85% of the population. The rest of the 15% is hitting if they're not continuously fueling up on magnesium. And then I went into the natural path, like the natural products world of study. A whole ton of information came out about how magnesium interacts with your digestive tract, how it affects your kidneys in a negative way, and how getting it into your skin is by far the most beneficial. And then you can put it in any time you want. Like if you're having a very high active day, you can put it in. It's so easy because it's odorless. It doesn't have any stickiness to it. It just goes in. So people will just put it in here during the day at work, and it made a big difference. In the morning, I put it on my whole entire body, and before I go to bed, on my whole entire body. And it just makes such a huge upgrade. And it's like this super health insurance thing. If you're depleted in magnesium, you're going to be affecting more than 330 biochemical reactions of different types in your system. Every thought you think requires magnesium, requires the right amount of magnesium. And all your anxiety comes from low magnesium. Anxiety is not a condition, it's a deficiency. And sore muscles, sore joints, poor sleep, brain fog, poor memory, poor digestive processes, all affected by magnesium. So it's one of those, they call it the master mineral. And it truly is. Like you have master antioxidants and master aminos. Well, this is the master mineral. It's also electrical. So it helps your cells communicate. So just like a radio, like a phone will have crystals in it for communication. Your body, through biophotons and electrons, is continuously in communication. You have literally trillions of thoughts happening in the background. And even consciously, if they measured with scans, it takes 80,000 thoughts with the number of processes in the brain to tell the index finger to touch the thumb. And we can sit and do all of our fingers and thumbs at the same time and wiggle our toes. That's how automated the system is. So when I found out that a simple fuel like this was so effective, it's like, okay, this is a must-have for the rest of my life. There's no day where I'm not going to be making sure my magnesium levels are up. So that was a big learning curve for me, and that's now 15 years.
Wow. So how has it helped you now?
Well, what it does is it got me to a level and keeps me there.
Mm-hmm.
So when the fear-based world out there is trying to control us through fear, making us anxious, making us feel scarcity or whatever uncertainty, it allows me to totally deal with that no problem. I came to a point where no matter what was happening, if it was something really wonderful or something catastrophic, it was handled with calmness and deliberation and as part of the adventure. And I had never been like that before. I would always could freak out about something if it was significant enough. And all of that anxiety, freak out, or being, reactive or knee jerk, all that goes away, because especially in this age right now, when we're getting hit with from every possible angle to create us to have uncertainty or make bad decisions, all that goes away. And magnesium is, I would say, the base foundational factor of everything I do that stabilizes my being.
And how do you know, if there's so many types of magnesiums out there, how can we look at a magnesium and establish that this is the one we should be taking? For an example, if I was to, have vitamin C, I know that so many of them are infiltrated. So how
Mhm.
do I know that the magnesium is completely clean and that it's the correct one that I should be using?
Right. Yeah. The purity factor is number one. This is purity factor in the form. So your body has an ocean inside of it. If you cry a tear, that's 1/3 strength ocean water, very salty. And that type of salt, which is magnesium chloride hexahydrate, the one we got, the top one in the world, comes out of the ocean, but it's a sea mineral extract, and it has to be done at a it's called USP grade pharmaceutical magnesium chloride hexahydrate. That means they guarantee the most pure possible, 99.999%, because you don't want anything else in there. You don't want other particles or other elements, because a lot of magnesiums in the world are of all different types, and some of them are good. When you take them orally, they are going to tax your system. And I've tried oral supplements with magnesium. The chelated ones are some of the better ones. But the best possible one is to get into your skin. And you want the one that's biocompatible to your overall system, because it's not about magnesium in the blood. It's magnesium in the tissue. It's magnesium that will hold. Now, you could take an Epsom salt, like a magnesium sulfate, and have a bath, and it will help to relax you while you're in the bath. It has no structure, so it doesn't hold in your system. It just washes in and out. Magnesium chloride hexahydrate, which is made in this Ease product that we have been formulating for many years, and we have a very specific way that we have to make it. It takes 11 hours, and it goes through several different processes to make sure that the magnesium chloride hexahydrate is in structured water, and when it goes onto your skin, it disappears immediately without leaving any residue. That's how you can tell when you have the right one. Your body accepts it, loves it, you feel it, but it builds up a bank account reserve of magnesium within your system, because you're only using a little bit at a time. And it's a fuel. So you got to keep your tank fueled up, because you're going to be using that fuel all day. If you're going to be, having a lot of brain power used, you're burning like a lot of magnesium. Women burn more magnesium than men, because their hormonal system is going through the fluctuations, and plus they have their cycles. So a woman is losing magnesium in her cycle, and if she's had children, she has to make sure the magnesium levels are up, especially pre, during, and post-pregnancy. And then children in school, when they're learning, you think of the amount of fuel they're burning when they're children. You put the magnesium into their lives there, from an early age. I wish I would have had that when I was in school. It would have made all the difference in the world. Although I wouldn't go to school today, knowing what I know. The point is that the magnesium fuel in that particular form is the most biocompatible and also structured so it holds in the tank, so to speak. But the fuel tank is your entire body. So when you take it orally, if you take a magnesium orally, which you don't with ours, then it has to go through the digestive tract and the body just sort of sends it where it thinks it needs it. If you have something down in your lower extremities, like stiff muscles or restless leg or sore joints or spasms or any kind of anything like Charlie horses, you put it on there and it instantly goes in right there. You don't wait. And so I put it head to toe. I do 30 sprays in the morning and 30 sprays at night. And this is the easiest thing in the world to do. And that's why we call it ease. But it's like magnesium, right? And I just spray 5 sprays in my hand and just wipe it like that. And I do another one. I do that 6 times with 5 sprays, which is 30 sprays. I just cover my whole body and I don't massage it in. You don't have to do that. You just wipe it and it disappears. Within 90 seconds, you feel it. And for an example, for sleeping, when I put it on about 5 minutes before I go to bed. And so I'm already getting tired. But sometimes your mind is still going. So when I put it in, I know that by the time I get into bed, I can already feel my body from my neck down going to sleep. And I also learned about the brain connection to your muscle system. So magnesium relaxes your muscles, calcium contracts your muscles. If you're low on magnesium, you're starting to stiffen up, you're contracting. You want to have the flow between contraction and relax, that dance, right? And so when your body is going to sleep, it releases your brain because your brain's nervous system, 80% of your nervous system is monitoring muscles when you're awake. So you can imagine the number of muscles in your body and the structures and the complexity of the overlapping muscles, how they affect each other. Any muscle that is more than 15 hertz in its frequency, a relaxed muscle is at 15 hertz. That's the perfect equilibrium. Many people get tensed up and they're at 20, 25 hertz. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, that's stressing the brain. It doesn't let your brain go to sleep. When you relax your muscles, your brain's like, okay, good. Thank you for that. And then it drifts off into dreamland. People always tell me they have the best sleeps when they're sleeping. Now, one thing that is very important, they should note as a side note, please make sure that you don't have any radio frequencies near you as much as you can when you're sleeping. Magnesium also protects you from radio frequencies. I'm talking about Wi-Fi, the routers, our phones, everything's always in airplane mode, no Wi-Fi on when you sleep, because your body's going to be doing a repair. And so your body's thinking, all night long, dreaming and fixing DNA and doing all the repair that it does. Magnesium is one of the most important elements. And also it allows you to go into a dream state. So when you're dreaming, those dreams are processing your trauma. So just think, if you're not getting the proper deep sleep and you're not dreaming, then you're not processing your trauma. And traumas are whatever. I mean, you have a little bit of trauma throughout the day, right? It could be mental, emotional, physical, but you want to process it and get it out. That's why sleeping pills are deadly, because they take you away from that dream state and they knock your body down. That is the last thing you want. You want your body to be full of life and repairing itself all night, and you're somewhere else in some dreamland having an amazing time. And even if it's nightmares, I've had the odd nightmare. I don't have them very often. But I can feel my body. I know when I'm going to sleep because I'm going into a dream state immediately upon going to sleep. So when you're in that state, it's a very wonderful place to be. And then you don't even have to have as much sleep. And my body wakes up when it's done. Sometimes it'll wake up in 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours, sometimes 7. It just depends. Depends on how much activity I've had. So magnesium is one of those automated equalizers that make sure that your body's in equilibrium.
Okay. And where can we find the magnesium that you're referring to?
Well, there's a link below here, but you can go to, it's just Activation Products where you look up for ease. But I think, Nick, you've got a link. And it's important that they use your link because they get another 20% discount whenever they buy through your link as preferred people, because they're subscribing to your list. And we want to make sure that everyone who is aware of what's going on in the world becomes fully fueled up. And this is super cost effective. This is like literally $1 a day that people are going to spend to improve their life dramatically. And everybody will tell you, like everyone who gets into it and actually does it, it's one thing to buy a product, it's another thing to use it. And I've seen so many times in my own life, even where I bought products and didn't use them. And they go, well, I'm not sure if it worked. Yeah, it didn't work because I didn't use them, or the product didn't work. But this is one of those products that delivers 100% of the time, no matter who it is and no matter what the situation is, it will deliver because it's the fuel. It's just like you put fuel in your car. You can have the best car in the world, but if it doesn't have the proper fuel, it won't run well. So this is the cleanest, perfect burning fuel, and you're going to be using it 24 hours a day, every day of your life. So if you want to have a much longer, much higher quality life, you have to have magnesium because you're not getting it to the food. They have monocropped. They have, the agribusiness of the world has depleted the soils. They've absolutely raped this world with farming, and it's the wrong kind of farming. On top of that, we have rain that is constantly going on the earth at every time, every year. And that rain goes under the soils over the thousands of years, and it washes the minerals into the tributaries and the rivers and the lakes and back out into the ocean. So if the farmer that we're buying our food from is not remineralizing their land with the full spectrum ocean water dilutes, their land is getting depleted. Then they have to put on NPK, which is, even organic farmers do the same thing. They use NPK because that makes the food grow and look good. But if you do the analysis of the food, it's lacking minerals. You don't just need 3 minerals, you need all the minerals. Even if the vegetable is a little smaller and a little more gnarly looking, it's loaded with nutrients when you have mineralized soil. So you really want to focus on getting the best food you can, but you have to compensate, because we all have to compensate. We are being, ever since World War II, this world, from fluoride in the water to chemtrails to whatever, rubber dust and brake dust from cars, and our bodies getting plugged up. Our bodies have to continuously detox and de-stress. We have to deal with the stress. I almost died at 46 because I was not paying attention to stress at all. I thought I was somehow invincible because my thinking was off. And so I wasn't paying attention to stress. I wasn't making sure I was getting proper sleep. I didn't even know what the word detox meant. And I was not giving the proper nutrition to my body. I was eating GMO foods, and I was full of fungus, heavy metals, and I was going to die within 3 years. That's ridiculous. But I'm susceptible to that because my 2 uncles died at 51 and 54 because they never paid attention. And I didn't know that there was a genetic predisposition that could do that, but it can. So I had to compensate for my own genetic predisposition, because a lot of people can live longer than 51 or 54 or 46 getting hit with stuff, but not me. So thankfully, actually, I'm not the kind of person that's just invincible. I had to learn. And then it was defining things. Like, I don't want to do a million things. I want to do a few most important things that allowed me to reverse my age back to a proper age, because I was like an 80-year-old at 46. And then go chronological, day by day by day, aging one day at a time instead of 10 days at a time. And this is one of the most important messages to get to people, is the importance of adding this magnesium, particularly this form, and it's just a beautiful spray. So yeah, that's the story on that one.
Well, I would definitely leave the link below. Ian Clark, it's been great. You've shared a very in-depth, information for magnesium. So thank you very, very much. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Well, the one most important thing, I think, is that we ourselves are always improving our status on the earth. I don't mean the level of status. I'm talking about positionally placing, knowing what your standing is, where you stand and what you believe and what you understand to be the truth. And that your body affects how you think, and how you think affects your body. It's a two-way street. So we all have to get our thinking set very deeply in order so that we can discern between that which is true and that which is false, and therefore make a series of wonderful decisions so that regardless of whatever is going on around us or what the rest of the world does, it doesn't matter. We are always on track with the right thinking patterns and a good, healthy physical body.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ian Clark, and we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.